Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Skaggly Bones. I'm your host today. And today we want to talk about, as you can see here, we have some extra tires out. As you can see, we got some, let's see here, over here in the box. We got inner tubes. We got a number of different things that we have. So today, the subject of today's video is items that you want to have if you have your own personal shop, and it doesn't matter how large of a shop that you have, things that you want to have extras of. So now, not everything do I have extras of, or the quantities I would love to have extras of, but most everything other than cables do I have extras of. Okay, a reason I don't have cables at this moment is that I have spools. I normally keep it in boxes, and so I have inner-outer cable, of course, or both inner-outer cable, both in the brake and shifting cables. But I just kind of want to go through some stuff, and as you run low on these items, you don't have to keep more than one or two extras, but these are items that is very good if you have a home workshop to keep at least one extra set. That way, in case if something breaks on your bicycle, that you can replace it right away without having to go into a lot of extra trouble. Or nowadays it's a lot easier to order things, so having an extra set of spare set of tires, some extra spokes for your different wheels is always very helpful. So first thing, obviously, as you can see, we have extra tires. So I have a couple of different extra sizes. Now, so the Giant, we put the 25s on there. We put the Continentals, which I love riding. I love using the Continentals. So we have those on there. Of course, the original PR3s were pretty much brand new, so I'd only ridden a few miles on these, maybe about 100 miles I'd put on these, so well worth keeping. So always keep sets of tires. Okay, so there was an extra front tire that I had from my first set for my Jamis, some Vittorias. So I saved the one extra just in case. I need an extra tire there. And then we have the some Continentals that I had swapped out on my, this was my second set of Continentals that I used on my Jamis. And then I had I'll show you here, I was able to patch it up, do an experiment patching job right there. As you see there, what happened is some of this cloth weave started to pop a little bit, and I don't think it was actually compromising the wall of the tire, but I didn't want it to become a problem, so I patched it on the inside, patched it on the outside, and we're going to attempt to ride with these, but they should work out fine. But another thing you can do if you have something like that that's occurring, if you're worried about it, is take a little bit of this stuff, some tire liner, and kind of shove that in there. But not too big of a deal, but these are barely worn. Most of your tires are going to have wear indicators as well. Let's see if I can find the wear indicators on these for you real quick. I think I had hit something on this. Yeah, there you go. There's the wear indicators, and as you can see, there's plenty of tread left, rubber left on the tire. Okay, so you want to have extra tires. In fact, you can see on these, barely even use those. There's the tread indicator, the wear indicator there. Okay, other things you want to keep extras of, make sure you always have a couple extra inner tubes. These give me 4 inner tubes because I have 2 inside this pack here. Always keep 2 inner tubes. So inside here, I have 2 inner tubes taped up like this, so they kind of take up very little space. So that would give me 4 extra inner tubes for 25 mil, and then whatever I have inside, just in case we have a puncture. Okay, Shouldn't normally have it if you're running the Continental gator skin hard shells or gator skins for that matter. You shouldn't have a problem. If not, just run some tire liners. But always keep some extra inner tubes as well. Okay, bar ends. I keep bar ends. When I replace the tape, I always keep normally an extra set of handlebar tape. But the lizard skin is very easy to come by here in Guam. It's the same price if I order it, so I don't really order it. I just purchase it. But I always keep the extra bar ends. What I tend to use is these screw-in bar ends here, so they don't pop out, and then they look extremely neat and organized. As you can see here, here's some Bontrager ones that I put on the Jamis, just because they aren't of this style here. These push in a little bit hard. They don't stay in as well, I don't believe. And then let's see here, looking for the ones. These were the original Giant ones, and as you can see, kind of got banged up when my bike fell on the one side. They caught the edge and scratched them up pretty good. Now you can order for like $1 or so. They make some better ones, Lizard Skin does, that they're a solid piece of rubber here, and it's solid, and then they have these retention rings around it. They tend to work a little bit better than what come with it, so you can get all the different colors if you want. But I always keep the extras. I'm guessing if I pile up much more, I'd probably just toss these away. No need to keep extras of those. But always keep extras. Always keep a couple extra patch kits. Mainly, not so much I have the glue, like this one doesn't have the glue in it. As you can see, still have some sandpaper in there, have the extra patches. Now these aren't the self-adhesive patches, you gotta have the glue for it, but you can kind of buy larger bottles of glue if you want. And normally you won't go through all the glue for all of it. One of the glue bottles actually is hardened up, so I get the Park Tool ones. I really like the Park Tool ones. They tend to work. So I got a couple extras. Got one in my pouch over there that I use as well, my saddlebag. Okay. Always keep spare spacers, and then of course I have 2 different size spacers in here. One for the Giant. So when I take spacers off, as you can see here, I've got 2 different sized spacers. This is, sorry, that's a spacer for the. Okay, so this is one for the Jamis. That's a standard 1 1/8 inch. And then we have this size. See that oversized? That's 1 1/2 inch. So keep whatever size spacers. Whatever I take off, I keep the spacers. I never throw them away when I take them off the bike. As you can see, I have the handlebars down pretty far, both on the Jamis and on the Giant, so I keep them slammed, but I keep the extra spacers. The same thing on the mountain bike here. I pulled off a couple of spacers. They're just 1 1/8 inch, it's fine. And I took and kept those just in case, because you never know when you're going to need them. So always keep extra spacers, things like that. You never know if you're going to need extras or whatnot. Obviously it's okay. Extra cleats. Always keep extra cleats. So I got an extra set of mountain bike cleats in here. Yes, it's just one. I have 2 pairs of shoes that I use these cleats, the Crank Brother cleats. I keep an extra set, just one extra set there at least. Okay, sometimes 2 sets. Okay, extra set of shims and spacers for my Crank Brothers pedals. Okay, I keep an extra set of pedals. I change out my pedals, but I got down here. Sorry there, had to reach over some stuff. So I always keep a set of pedals, which I have here. I have 2 sets of cleats, obviously, the screws, and I got my speed play pedals here. So whether it be an extra set of speed play or even a set of the Look Kios, I always at least keep an extra set in case something happens and I have to switch back. Okay, and then with that, of course, I'm going to keep a good set of cleats. And these cleats they're still in good shape. Got the cleat covers as well. these cleats are still in pretty decent shape, even though they're worn and beat up a bit. They still will work. So always keep an extra set of pedals just in case a set breaks, especially with carbon fiber nowadays. If the spring was to go on these for some reason, if it was to break, I need to switch out my pedals. Okay, of course I'm missing a set of pedals there, but I can always take, put the speed plays on here and just use the speed plays. The reason is that I don't really have extra cycling shoes that I would just use with that bike. Okay, I have some extra cycling shoes, but they're not carbon fiber sole. Keep a set of extra set. You can see here we got an extra set of shifter cables. I don't have an extra set of brake cables right now, but you can always make sure you always have a couple extra sets. Normally I carry at least one full set for each bicycle. So this would be an extra set of shifter cables. It's got the housings already pre-cut. It's normally I got those for this bike, but I could use them for either or. And these are the stainless steel cables. They're not expensive to buy an extra set, whether it just be the inner cables and outer cables. I try to buy a set of them at a time, or I buy it in a box. And you can buy boxes of this stuff, which it costs a little bit more, but if you're going through a lot of cables, a lot of housing, if you're putting a lot of miles on your bike and you change your cables out every few months or something, it depends how much miles on it and how the weather is, kind of where you're at. But normally I'll get a roll of a roll of brake outer cable, a roll of shifting outer cable, it'll just be in a big box, a roll, so I can cut off and use whatever I need. I'll have a set of ferrules, like you have these ends here, think of crimp ends, and then have a set of brake inner cables and shifter inner cables in a box. Okay, now the inner cables typically run about $60 or $69 for a box of brake cables, and then it's $69 for a box of shifter cables. And then outer cables tend to run about $80 for a box of each. So altogether you're probably going to have, I'd say about maybe $300 for 4 boxes, but that will last you quite a long time. Even if you're using them all the time, that can last you almost a lifetime. So that's why I kind of recommend, that's how I do it. And I just keep an entire box almost like a shop would. So got extras of those. Other things, always keep extra bolts, small extra bolts, stem top caps, keep those around just in case. Jockey wheels, extra jockey wheels. As I've talked about in previous videos, I always like to change out my jockey wheels, so always keep the extras just in case something was to happen. If a bearing was to go out in one of those jockey wheels, sometimes I'll buy an extra set of the bearing jockey wheels, just in case they were to go out and I didn't have an extra set. You can always put back in your old jockey wheels, and if they're not worn, if you just replace them, as you can see here, the set from the let's see here. The set from the Giant were pretty much brand new. I'd only ridden on them once before I got the new jockey wheels. I don't even know if I've actually taken a full ride. I think may not be that one. Let's see if I can find the new looking ones. Yeah, there, as you can see. See how new that looks? Real shiny and new looking, and it's thinner there. That's because for the 105 it's a little bit thinner than this one for the Sora. So the jockey wheel there, that's brand new pretty much, so I could reuse those jockey wheels very easily if I had to in a pinch. Okay, so always keep those. Always, by the way, make sure you have extra bolts for your cleats, things like that as well. Okay, now something that not everybody thinks about. Now I don't have one for my Jameis, but as you can see here, I have for the Giant, I have an extra rear mech hanger. So you have your rear mech hanger, and what happens is if this bike falls over and it bumps this, it's going to throw this out of alignment because the rear mech hanger is very lightweight aluminum will bend. So what I do is when I go on a ride, I keep always a couple of these. I throw one in my saddlebag, just like this, and this has a couple little screws there. So just, there we go. So has a couple little screws there, rear mech hanger. Now, these aren't super cheap, but they're like $29. So, not that I can't fix this, because as you know, let's see here. Oh, sorry, there we go. We have our rear mech tool right here. So we can put this on, pull the rear mech off, bend the rear mech hanger back into alignment. But can't do that on the road. I'm not going to carry this with me when I go on a ride. So just in case, for some reason, I went on a ride, I stopped somewhere, my bike blows over, it falls down, or I have an accident and I bump the rear mech, yeah, I could probably get away without using this because I could stay in 1 or 2 gears. But if I'd have the opportunity and I still wanted to keep riding for a long time, what I would do is pull off the rear mech hanger, pull off the rear mech hanger. It's got 2 little Allen screws, which I have in my tool, and then I can put the new one on. Okay, now this is going to be in alignment straight from the factory, and then I pull the old one off, put it back in here, and then when I get it, I could either put it back on and realign it, or there is a trick, and I'll show you later, but you just take an adjustable wrench and you put it in between the jaws, because these are flat, okay, or you can put it in a very soft jaw vise and you can bend it flat by using either this or a vise. Okay, so I'll pull this out here. Kind of hard to do with one hand. The nice thing is these bags for the giant one, they're sealed. They're fully sealed up, and then they got a little Ziploc. Well, I'm not going to pull it out, but you get the idea. This is perfectly flat, so you just, if any bend is in there, a vise, a soft jawed vise, or a smooth jaw vise is really what you want, would flatten this back up. Now, yeah, you might get some of the paint off of it, but you can bend it back that way, or you can use your mech hanger tool, okay, to do it that way on the bike, okay? So at least by flattening in a vise, you would at least get it close, and then you can put it back on the bike and then reuse it. So, but that way, I mean, if this got severely bent and you kept bending it back over and over and over, eventually it would break. But it is pretty thick aluminum, so they're not really in risk. You can kind of band them back and forth from time to time. I had a mech hanger that, I don't know, it was probably, I got out of alignment probably about 20 different times, and I kept bending it, and it never broke on me. I think the place where it wore out was right here where the B-tension screw goes, and it just stopped B-tensioning. I think that piece broke off or something in an accident and just wore down. It just wasn't B-tensioning, so I had to replace it. That's really the only mech hanger I completely destroyed. So then people say you're going to snap that, and that is possible. You could actually snap it off, but snapping it off isn't going to come from normally realigning it or readjusting it, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's what I keep extra there. Okay, some other things that we got, not going to go through the rest of the toolbox, but other things you want to have extra batteries. So obviously we have our different cyclocomputers here, and the cat eyes and the sensors, which you have here, right there. You're all going to take the same type of battery, so I at least keep a minimal of 2 batteries, extra batteries, because so you got these, right? So you throw one in a saddlebag, or throw 2 in the saddlebag, and if you're on a ride and one goes bad, you can pop it in. Now normally the sensor battery will go out after this, or sorry, the computer battery will go out before the sensor battery will go out, okay? And these, when they're riding, if you're actually, they're on, as you can see, you still have this little indication miles per hour on here. It does show you that it's working, but these batteries tend to last, oh my gosh, I think I've gotten, half a year on one of these batteries. It's kind of like a watch. They last for quite a while. If you notice, the display on these are no different than your Casio watch. So you get quite a bit of time out of one of these small batteries here. So it's pretty nice on your cycle computer. Okay, so pretty good with that. So always keep a couple extras of those. Batteries also, the Nog Frog, a rear light, uses the same type of battery as well. So I always like to have one of that. Now that one will last pretty long time. I like to keep extra batteries. Okay, so obviously always keep a couple extra cycle computers just in case one goes out. Always have one or two extra just in case. Always keep extra mounts as well. You're saying, well, why do you keep these mounts? You got the K-edge mounts, but if for some reason the plastic piece would break, all I could do is go from the back, take the two screws off, and then I could use this mount here, pull it out of the whole mount here. Also, if the whole piece broke, like this all broke, or perhaps this, you know, on the time trial one broke. Well, here, I'll just show you on the time trial. So if this plastic piece broke, I could take out these two screws. I could take out one of the other cat eye mounts that I have that came with it, and I could put that in there and then put those bolts back in, and I'd have a fixed mount. You know, doubtful the aluminum arm on these K-edges are going to break. It would take quite a blow to snap that off. It would be near impossible. In fact, it'd probably scratch up your handlebar and bend, move this way before you'd actually probably break that machined arm off. These are all CNC machined aluminum, so they're pretty heavy duty. They're not going to break. It'd be pretty rare that you could break one. But if you did, at least you have this that you could you know, put on there until you got a new one or whatever. So like I said, I always like to keep the old mounts just in case. Batteries, I have other batteries in here as well, so I got some AAAs and some AA's, because obviously this light, as you can see here, there we go. It takes a AA, and I try to keep flashlights that only take one battery, because I can always put an extra battery in my pack when I'm riding to work. I try to keep one extra battery, one of these in my pack, and I got one of these in there, one of the flat batteries as well. So that's what I try to do. Okay, so other things you can keep extras of, keep extra water bottles. So I got a couple of nice expensive ones that I use, the real big Camelback ones, but it's always good to get some really cheap, maybe a couple of $4 ones. You know, maybe get 10 $4 ones. Spend some decent money. Spend $50 and get a whole bunch of these cheap water bottles. And the reason being is, if you know, you get some gunk or something in your expensive one, you still got a water bottle. You can still throw some water in here, pop it in, and bam, I still got a water bottle. I still got a way to stay hydrated on my rides. Okay, so always keep a couple extra water bottles. Plus, when you got a couple bikes, you can always throw them on your other bikes, and there you go. So got extra water bottles. Bam. Okay, so always keep those. And sometimes what I do when I get into race season and stuff, I keep a whole bunch. Now, this is my mountain bike one. I got it just for that, but I have a whole bunch of these. I have a whole bunch of cheap Camelback ones, and I keep them in the refrigerator already filled with fluid. And so I pull out two, throw them on the road bike, especially when I'm riding back and forth to work, and it's not that far. I'm only riding 10 miles or 15 miles one way, so I only need smaller water bottles. I throw them in there. I don't care about them if they were to break or something. I ride to work, I come back, I throw them in the dishwasher, I clean them out, and then I got two already ready to go. So I get them I've already pre-mixed my stuff up ahead of time. So there's that. One last thing, keep pedal parts. I recommend always keep some extra pedal parts. Here, as you can see, you got extra bearings now these are for my Crank Brothers, but always keep extra. It's probably good to keep extra bearings. These are standard bearings that go in pedals. So I took these out of some pair of Crank Brother candies that were just rusted. The springs were all rusted, and it wasn't really worth it. They weren't expensive pedals to begin with, like $40. So I just kind of trashed the outside casing. The outside casing, I've been in an accident with them and trashed them pretty bad. So the plastic parts were all beat up and just really wasn't worth it. But the guts were in perfect shape. Brand new bearings pretty much. I didn't have a lot of miles on them. The spindle arms are great shape. And, you know, took the top caps and saved those. So even if I didn't reuse these spindles, so one of them on that mountain bike is kind of rusted, so I'm probably going to replace the spindle on that. But I could use these bearings and put these in there, or save them for that bike there, or even use them in. The only thing you can't use them in is speed plate pedals, okay? Because they have special needle bearings that allow the lubrication to go inside the bearing. Okay, so that's some of the things that I like to keep extras of. Now, there may be some other things that you guys like to keep extras of. You know, always keep extra lube. There's another thing too. But oh, one last thing. Always keep a couple extra chains. So as you can see here, these chains aren't even close to being worn. They had just gotten a little surface rust on them. So what I did is I put them in, soaked them in some WD-40 for quite a while. I scrubbed them off with a Brillo pad, got them really, really good, and put a little bit more WD-40 in them and then just hung them up. Okay, so in here in my garage, since I got air conditioning and stuff, and I keep a dehumidifier in here, these will stay and keep from rusting. I just keep them hung up instead of trying to put them back in. So I got a couple extra chains there. I always keep a couple extra chains. Keep one for each bike. At least one extra for each bike. And that way when your chain wears out, of course you can just take your chain wear indicator. I've done this in another video for you guys. Get your chain wear indicator out. You can go in and go, you know, this just ain't feeling right. It's feeling a little loose, up. Drop. Obviously this is good, but it would drop down in there and indicate your chain's wearing out. It's at its limit. Take your chain off, put a brand new one on. You're good to go. So obviously you keep your chain and stuff lubed properly and taken care of properly, and it'll last you a good long time. But it's always good to have an extra of each, and that way you don't have to worry about it. So like I said, there may be some other stuff that you guys like to keep extras of it, whether it be tools, parts, whatever. Like I said, this is just a few of the items that you can possibly keep extras of. And at the bare minimum, folks, I'd always keep an extra derailleur hanger, inner tubes, tires. That's the bare minimum I keep. But like I said, most of this stuff isn't expensive. It's pretty easy to get extras of. And some bike shops leave them, like stuff like spacers and bolts. Most shops have so much extra, they'll give you a few extra. They'll give you a little extra set anyways, so that you can have with your bike. Stuff like this you're going to have to buy because those aren't cheap. But it's better to have an extra one, spend an extra 30 bucks and get an extra derailleur hanger than not. And most people aren't going to spend the $60 on the tool. Now, do I recommend buying that tool? Mech hanger tool, of course. There's two of these, well actually 1.5 will pay for that mech hanger tool. Mech hanger tool is $60, so to me well worth it. Actually two of these, yeah, will pay for that mech tool. And I've gone through a lot of these, and I've had my bikes fall, and I've had a lot of misalignment, and you're going to pay $20 for a realignment in a shop. So definitely worth the effort if you are quite a hefty rider, or I mean you ride a lot, is get yourself a mech hanger alignment tool. Yeah, it's a specialty tool. It's a good tool to have though. So that's it for me, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comments section below. And like always, folks, make sure you just hit the subscribe button and keep riding.